guess that's popping up somewhere as well, so you know. But and for those of you who see this recording, hopefully you see it, because then it has worked. And then we're going to put the recording into this diner setup as well. So hopefully you already have started to do your exercises and hands-on with Tableau Prep, so you have some idea of what Tableau Prep is and what you can do with it. There will be I'm going to talk just a few introduction to Prep and where it's in the ecosystem of Tableau as well. I think I'm going to talk about or mention the Tableau user group, even though we asked them to come and talk in this group as well, but they were too busy or had better things to do. I don't know. So, but there is a Tableau Prep user group, which is always nice to attend if you want to learn more about Prep. And in the community, which you will see when you do your exercises and get the challenges, there's also this Prep and data challenges from the community. So always urge you to, if you want to do more, because we saw some of the feedback that we had on the halfway through this program. Some of you want to do more than what's in the exercises, the e-learning and challenges. And then specifically when we talk about Prep, the community challenge is a great place to be. So I'm going to mention this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. This is always on my presentations. So hello, it's me, Tore from Norway. You hopefully know me or a bit about me. So this is what Prasan was supposed to introduce me and everything. And but since it's myself, I'm not going to, dwell about this. But this is me. In one of my many Tableau t-shirts, I have over 75 t-shirts and sweaters and hoodies that are Tableau related. This one, nobody cares. You've seen it before. This is the Salesforce thing that everybody has to put in there. So what we're talking about today is, of course, Tableau Prep and data preparation. And as you hopefully have realized now also over the first 2 months or 2.5 months that we've been using Tableau Desktop mostly, right? And we connect the data. We do create our visualizations. We create our dashboards. We publish on Tableau Public. So we either use Desktop, of course, or the Tableau Public desktop as well. So you can do either or. But sometimes if you need to do more than just do a simple pivot or do a simple calculation or aggregation or even joins that you do inside of Tableau Desktop, and especially when you have more complicated data sources, we switch from using the Tableau Desktop as the tool to prep and clean the data and go to the Prep Builder. And Prep Builder also connects to data because that's where we need to start. We need to, well, often we start with a question: what is the average trend of my data or the sales in the North region or whatever the question is that you ask, or your client or your customer or your colleagues. And then we need to figure out, do we have the data? And if we then need to clean the data, because in one table you have aggregated data on a year level, and on the other table you have data on a daily level, and that's a bit difficult to just connect together because there will be duplicates and null values, and you get the wrong results eventually. So then we start thinking about, it's good to start using Tableau Prep. And this is something that good for you in this program, because you have now license key for desktop and also for Tableau Prep, so you can install that and use it. I'm also doing another lecture at a university, and Tableau has now changed how they do this academic licensing. Before, you get as long as you studied, you got Tableau Desktop and you got Tableau Prep. But now you only get Tableau Prep. You only get Tableau Public. Of course, that's a really good tool, but it has its limitation when it comes to data sources, even though you can now at least store it locally, but you don't get the prep, which is a bit frustrating, meaning that there's a limitation to what kind of data I can provide to students if I want them to also clean and prep the data. But anyhow, the prep that we are going to look at in here sits between the connect and analyze bit, and of course a bit on the share as well, because you share data, the output that you create in prep, you can share that on a Tableau server, on cloud, and then the desktop or web author consumers, they will then connect to the published data sources and build the analysis. But I also find that Tableau Prep is really good in also profiling and analyzing data when you click on these clean steps and you see how the data is connected. That is not as easy to see sometimes in desktop even. So this is the user interface, and I'm soon going to be diving into some data and show you also some tips and tricks on how to use prep. Similar to desktop, we need to connect to some data on the left-hand side. We have almost the same amount of connectors as we have in desktop. One of the benefits of prep, at least for now, because Tableau has said that they're going to do some changes, is that in Tableau desktop, we can't connect to published data sources and join them together or create a union or do anything like that. But in prep, we can then go on the left-hand side, connect to Tableau server, and have multiple published data sources that we can join or union in here, which makes life a bit easier for at least if we're developing a data source for other people or ourselves. And then we, of course, have the flow. We have some data cleaning and different steps that we're doing. We can zoom in, we can group these, and you should not end up with the clean 1, clean 2, clean 3. Always give them a name, give a proper description as well, so that both for you and for the others, they know what's going on. Otherwise, it's a bit problematic. Not problematic, but it's the same with everything that comes into when it's documentation. You always aiming on doing that in the end when you're done with the flow, but then suddenly there's a new question, or you start to do stuff in desktop instead, and you forget everything about doing the documentation. Then you come back to your workflow 2 weeks or 2 months later, and you have no idea what you've done. But the beauty here is the profile pane. Over here in the middle, where we basically see the data. What kind of data do we have? Do we have any outliers? Is there anything wrong? And then we start cleaning and fixing it. And then, of course, down here we have the data grid where we see the actual data as well. And this is a different when it comes to web authoring on desktop to that in Tableau desktop you can do. Well, you can do everything you can do in desktop, obviously, but on the web authoring, you can do like 70% of what you can do on desktop. So sometimes it's quick and easy to go to the web edit in server or cloud, do those small changes, but then suddenly you see that the functionality is not there. When it comes to the Tableau Prep web interface versus the desktop one, it's a one-to-one, more or less. There's a few tiny little differences that you can't do on the web versus what you can do desktop, but it's really good to make sure that we have that up and running. So let's move on to the next one in here. There's a lot of different steps that you can add. That also is always, what do you need? What is the requirements of your data? You can have multiple input fields or sources, and you can have multiple output sources as well. And then you can decide to save your flow, similar to what we do on desktop. We can have a Tableau flow format or Tableau flow where we have also a packaged flow where we also include the actual data. And then we can publish this flow to a Tableau server or a cloud, so we can execute and run them over there. And you don't have to output the data to just to files, CSV, Excel, or hyper files, but you can also do that, of course, the published data source on the cloud. If you have a database, these are the databases that are per now supported. When PrEP came out, I don't remember how many years ago, this list was, I think it was 3 or 4. Now they're adding more and more into the product, which is good. And then if you have CRM Analytics or Salesforce Data Cloud, you can also publish data in there. So this is, of course, obviously because Salesforce have now owned Tableau for 6 years. So they want their Salesforce users to use PrEP as well to get the data in there. And then when you have your question, as I mentioned earlier, you have a question or a goal, you need to figure out what kind of steps do you need. You don't need to use all of these. Of course, you need to start with an input. You need to end with an output, so you get the data somewhere. But then do you need to clean the data? Very often you do. Do you need to add new rows or fill in empty rows? Do you need to add a union or a join? That depends on what type of data you have. Do you need to pivot your data, either from columns to rows or the other way around? And then do you need to aggregate your data? So all of these things it's not so that you decide everything in advance, but you start by having a question or a goal. You start by connecting to the data, look at the data and figure out what kind of steps you need to put in there. And this is just some of the newer features that have come for newer versions of Tableau PrEP as well, just limiting to Tableau PrEP. That was a tongue twister. So there's a lot of things that makes it easier to use, more functionality, because starting the first versions, there was a lot of limitations. And well, it was good that we finally had a product in the Tableau environment where we could do this data prep. But then, well, my CSV or text file is missing or starting from page row 3 or 4. How can I solve this? How can I schedule my flows on server, etc.? So a lot of these things Tableau have in their pipeline and are adding more and more features. And that's why we also always should use the IDS page on the community page as well, to make sure that we add in the different ideas or requests that we have in here. And there's I have a link in here for the new features. Tableau 2025.1 was just released, so always pay attention to what's happening in there. Then you get all the different new stuff, not only for prep, obviously, but for everything else. You also get a extremely sexy guy you can screenshot and I don't know, put on your wall, I don't know. And then you can filter down here for your whatever product you're interested in and see what the new changes are. And then when we talk about this is more for when you start working for an organization or in a company, what kind of licenses are there and how can you get then hold of the Tableau PrEP builder? So if you are a creator or a data analyst, you will be a creator license most likely. You will have Tableau PrEP as the same as on the same license key as you have desktop, and you will have a user on either Tableau server or online or cloud. If you are an explorer, meaning that you only have access to the server, you can still connect to data, you can build visualizations and share with others, but you don't have any Tableau PrEP access. And then you have the viewers or those who are consuming whatever the creator and explorer have built. They can't create anything, but they can subscribe to, they can filter and do everything else that you put into your interactive dashboards. And then the question was back in the day, well, it's all fun and games to have these this Tableau PrEP, and you can publish the flow and run it from the server. But I don't want to sit there every Monday morning at 9 or every weekday at 9 to click run flow, because, well, I have other and better things to do. So I would like to schedule these. And yes, you can do that, but then you need to have an add-on to your server or cloud environment that I think now just recently switched from, you had a data management add-on, and you have the server management add-on, but now everything is pulled together into something called Tableau Enterprise. I guess in one way to make it simpler, but also, I don't know, more expensive. But we're not here to sell Tableau, we're just here to use it. So what I'm going to do now, since I'm from Norway, and in Norway we love music and we love the Eurovision. And for those of you who don't know what the Eurovision is, that's an annual music competition, if it's even possible to compete in music, where countries from all over Europe, and for some strange reason, Australia is part of this now for the last few years, where all countries compete internally, find the best song, ship it to whoever, whatever country that has the finals that year, and then they compete. There's some semifinals, there's a final, and then the winner will be crowned. And then the next year, if Norway won, the next year's finals will be in Norway. So I do have multiple data sources. You see that I have one where I have the locations where the events have been. I have different type of Excel sheets, and this is also, this is because when I started doing this some years ago, when I started using Prep, I got some data that I found online. So I had these ones, and then suddenly I found some more from a different source, and then I found a Tableau workbook that somebody had published on public, downloaded that one, and stole that data. But now, of course, I need to combine this all data into one so that I can do some analysis. So this is the workflow that I'm going to show you, how I'm using Tableau, and then give you some tips and tricks as we move along. So then I'll minimize this and go back to, not back to, but into Tableau Prep. I do have started a bit, so I've added the multiple different sheets in here, or connections in here. This is where we do that, where we then find either something on the Tableau server, on different files, and different servers, on-prem or in the cloud. And also see there's a whole bunch of additional connectors to specific data sources that either Tableau or other companies have made, and I'm using a few of these myself. And in this case, it's some text files, it's some Excel files, and whenever you add in a data source in here, like this, I'm just going to add in this sheet. Tableau will give you this shadow or the ghost in the background, because Tableau always wants you to view and clean data. And that's something that I always do, regardless of whatever step I'm doing throughout my workflow. I always go to this clean step, because then I get the profile window. I can have a look at my specific data. So if I look at my locations, you see that the year from 1956 till 2024, there's only one row for each. That is something we see on the right-hand side in this histogram. But if we look at countries, we see that, and this is just now showing part of it because I need to scroll down to see everything. But you see some countries have way more rows of data than others. So if I hover over Austria, we see that they have hosted it twice, meaning they have won it twice. If I scroll down a bit, see that United Kingdom, even though they have a lot of rubbish music, they still have won this, and they stole it a couple of years ago, right? When, well, they didn't steal it, but Ukraine won, and there was a war in Ukraine, so they couldn't have the Eurovisions in there, so they did it in UK instead. And then Norway is here. We won it 3 times. And then when I click on it, you see the actual data down below. You also see that when I click on it, you see the highlighting in the other data as well. Specifically, if I zoom in a bit, you see that it's highlighting a few dots in here, You see that Bergen, that's where I live, actually. That's also highlighted, but that's this one, but also there's a bit longer blue line in here. So I know that is Oslo, so that has happened twice. So this is a really nice way of profiling and figuring out and understanding your data, what you basically have in your data. And if I even hold in my control key, I can also click on Norway and Bergen. Then, of course, this is the only data that is shown in here. But what we see in here, when we start looking at the profiling of the data, if I deselect or don't select anything, BBC has hosted this multiple times. So we have BBC in small letters, we have BBC with capital letters, and have British Broadcasting Corporation. So immediately I see that I need to clean my data in here. So we have Villa Louvagne with 2 different channels, it looks like. We have some SRG. And if you don't know which country it is, we can always click on it to see what is highlighted on the left-hand side. So you get that type of insight here as well. So when I have this open, I should start cleaning my data, basically. Start first and foremost. We also have the date in here. Tableau has recognized this as an ABC. So, well, let's first of all just do date in here. So Tableau recognizes this as a date. It looks like it almost messed up my data as well, because I don't see my unique dates anymore. But Tableau creates bins where I can now go into more options and switch from summary to detail. And then we're back to one date for or one row for every data in here. But sometimes by default it's summary like this, because we don't need to see everything. We can still see the different specific values if we want to. So let's go into the broadcasting company in here, and then we can filter data. But I'm going to keep everything. I can clean my data. So we see that I have 45 broadcasters now. So if I start by making everything uppercase, I suddenly only have 38, because now both BBCs with small and big letters, capital letters, have been grouped. So if I click on United Kingdom now and scroll up a bit, we have BBC and British Broadcasting Corporation. But BBC now was previously 2 rows. I can continue to clean my data. I can remove letters, numbers, punctuations, trim spaces, and so on. I can at least trim spaces, because most likely somebody, this is a manual input, so there would be some spaces that we should get rid of. If I would like to get rid of punctuation, you see D.R. and then we have DR. So once again, clean values, remove punctuation. I now have 35. So we're getting closer. And then now we're going to do the magic one, which is the group values. I can go in group values manually, of course, BBC British Broadcasting in here. I can do it by pronunciation, by common characters, or spelling. And as with everything when it comes to text, and however brilliant Tableau or AI or anything is, we need to test the waters, test the different type of cleaning in here, and it will, I don't think in a million years, fix everything anyways, or all of it. So we still need to do some manual stuff. If we go for pronunciation, let's see if we go from 35 to 32. This one seems to be grouped. So if I click on ARD and ERT, we see that these are from Greece and Germany, so these should not be grouped together. So this didn't work. If you scroll down and see if there's anyone else, TVE, TF1, TVE, this is France and Spain. So you see, it's not that clever. So the pronunciation is similar, but not similar enough. This one, though, looks like it's the same one. So these two we can group. So if I don't want to group this, I just deselect one of them, and we are back to more values than we have. But also, what this is doing, if I'm just going to undo it again, because that's the brilliance as well. Always undo if you are not happy. But you see that the grouping in here, we can decide how strong or weak it should be. So we can switch this all the way to the left. It does a bit less. If I do it really strong, it really goes a bit bananas, so that suddenly these two are the same. Well, at least it's the same country, so these might be correct, but you still need to do that manual selection or make sure that it works. So that was the pronunciation. If I test the the group values, the common characters, apparently it didn't do anything, so that didn't work. Or it didn't help. If I then do it by spelling, at least puts DR and SR in here, but those are also different ones. So you get somewhere, but you don't get all the way as you're expecting. So you need to do some manual cleaning in here. So for now, I think that actually I'm not going to bother to do anything of these. I'm just going to go for the manual selection to do, just because we have some people from the UK in here. I'm going to do this one for you. So we have BBC. So that was the first bit. I've changed the date, changed some of these broadcasters, clean that, made and for now I think I'm quite happy in here. One thing that I'm going to do though is that the country I have in here, that's the country of where we had the competition. So that might conflict with the country of the participant country. So instead of having two country names in there, I'm going to rename this to and call it country of competition. And I could change this to become a role of country as well. And then we see that it doesn't recognize Yugoslavia because that doesn't exist anymore. We still have the data, so you don't lose it, but you won't be able to put it on a map anywhere. And I think I saw a comment over here, then US and Canada might be added to Eurovision at this rate, or the other way around. Europe will be one state of US if we continue as they're doing over there. So now I've cleaned my data. I'm happy with this. And you see a visual indicator that I've done a lot of changes. And the best thing is this changes pane, where you see all the different changes that you've done. You can go in here and edit. You can get rid of them. You can change the order of these as well. But of course, don't move something before you have done something else that it's waiting for. And you can click around and see where did that change happen as well. So we have some historical scores. This is data from a country region. We have 2010 placing, 2010 points, and so on. And this is not the way I would like my data to be organized, because, you know, everybody knows that Tableau wants a tabular form. I would like to have year and points, for example. So let's add something to my historical scores. Let's add a pivot. And pivot, I first would like to pivot all the points. So I'm just going to search for points over there, drag them in here. Then I have pivot one names, and I have points. So points is now all the numbers for each year. And this pivot one name, we can rename this to be year. And then I could create a new pivot to make sure that I get the placing or the ranking as well. But instead of creating a new step in here, I can just go to plus and add a second pivot. Get my, not the country, but the places in here. Drag it over there. Then we have place, we have points, we have year. Then always, you don't have to, but I always do, always add a clean step in here to make sure that I have the different years, country, points, and place. But since it's year and it now says 2010 points, we need to fix this. I can go in and double click and just get rid of points. And then it didn't do anything, or did it? No. It did say that it changed it, but I can't see the difference in here. Let me just click again. And now I crashed everything, so I'm just going to kill this one. But easier way, of course, instead of doing this manually, it's exactly what Umar says, we have a split in here. So I can do a custom split. I'm just going to keep the first, and the separator is a space. So then I keep my year. Then I don't need this one anymore. I can just remove the field, rename this to be year, and I'm good to go. And country region, I like these to be called countries instead of regions because we don't have any region, but that's fine. So now I have country, year, points, and place in my data. And then I have my historical scores. 2018, this looks very similar to the previous one now. When we change it, we have country, we have year, and at that time there's also semifinals and finals. We have the place, rank, and point. So it's not exactly similar to the previous one, but let's add in a join. Oh, sorry, I don't want to join these. I would like to union these because they're very similar. So we're going to create a longer table with data from 2010 to 17 plus the data from 2018. So I have a union where I'm going to add this one for it if I manage to hit it, and that's sometimes a bit difficult. So I'm just going to get rid of this window below. So I'm going to add this to the union, and this is the fun bit because now we can play Tetris. Because we have something that is called points versus point. We have place versus place rank. And as I always say to my kids, do as I say, not as I do, because now this is just called clean 6. We should rename this to 2010, 2017 scores, so that when I go to the union, I see which one is the 2018, which one is the other one. So if I would like to merge points with point, I click the first one and hover over so I get the plus sign. I click this one, and you see that points now have orange and green. We get data from 2 tables. We have place and place rank. We join these 2 together. Stage, we can't do anything, but we did have back in the day, we only had finals. Now there's also semifinals, etc. So this one will mess up my data if I look at any country and in 2018. If I summarize, then I will get Albania in the finals, but also Albania in the semifinals, so we get multiple points. So I'm going to get rid of these 2. I'm going to exclude them. So I only have finals, and then the previous stage, there was no stage in previous years, but I can call this finals as well, so that they will be combined, or I can just get rid of it entirely because I really don't need it. Then I'm going to click on clean step, see how my data looks like. You don't have to, but I also like to organize my data in here. So I'm looking at each year, each country. I have the place, the points, and then Tableau automatically adds this table names. So we can have a look at where the data originates from. If we want to, we don't necessarily need to, but we do have that data available. So that's one step. Then we look at this data. This is the newest data where we have country. We even have the participant. So now we're getting somewhere. We get some more data in here. We have rank and rank. I can't remember which this one was. We have the song, we have the points, and we have the year. So it looks fairly similar. So we can also add this to our new cleaned union data. So I'm going to create a new union. I'm going to drag this clean over here and add it. And then we're going to fix it. So place is the same as rank. And then the other ones are just extra information from the newer data. I'm going to clean this step. And then we have the different table names. These 2 can also be merged. I didn't do it in the union, but you can just take one field, drop it on the other one, and they will be merged together. And then if I scroll over here and have a look at, well, first, again, you don't have to, but I like to have the year, and in this case, the country next to each other. If I now click on, let's say, for example, Norway, I can look at data from all these different years, where they're coming from, the place. Oh, look at that. We also have some nulls, meaning that we didn't come to the final at all, which is good. I'm going to show you a bit later that not only have we won 3 times, which is okay, not compared to a lot of other countries, but we have also had the most 0 points in history of time. So we are really happy. Let me now just check that we have all our data from 2010 to 2017, 19, 24. So we have all of these data in here. And then I need to combine this with my locations. So this is the country of the competing country competing. Really nice name, right? And then this should not be unioned, but there should be a join. So I'm going to create a join, and I'm going to take this clean and add it to my join. And of course, clean 2 should be locations. Clean 7 should be results. Results. The join has an error because I haven't defined anything in there. When I click on it, we get this Venn diagram where I have the locations blue, results orange, and there's nothing matching because I haven't added a join clause yet. So what will be the common denominator in here? It should not be the country, because country of competition versus country competing, that will only match 1-on-1 because there's only a competition one time. So we need to combine year and year. So for each year, we have a competition or a country who hosted it, and then we have 1 year where we have all the participants. But we also see down here, this is quite helpful, that from the locations, there's 14 that are included in our join, 54 that are missing because I don't have historical data back till 2009. That was a miss. So everything from the results are matching, which is good. Now I'm only finding the ones that are matching as well. I could say that I would like to have all my locations data regardless, so that I can put those on a map. Then I get everything in here. So this is quite flexible and nice, and a nice overview as well when we're trying to look at and understand our data. So now I'm going to do a clean step, have a look. How does it look like? Suddenly I have 2 years. So I'm going to take year 1 and drop it on year so that I have just 1 year. If I do the other way around, if I take year on year -1, it will keep the name of the one that you're dragging on top of. So I don't want to call it year -1. So I'm going to call it year. And we have this group together. I don't care about the table name. This is where you get rid of everything that you don't need before you're going to put it on a map anywhere. And before I then create an output, in any phase of my visualization, my flow, if I would like to look at what's the result of this union, I can right-click and preview in Tableau Desktop. That's one of the limitations. If you're doing this in the browser, you need to publish or you need to send an output of your data to a published data source, and then you can look at it. But when I do this, the flow went really fast, and in the background where you can't see anything at the moment, it will open up a Tableau workbook that looks like this, where I have this node data. It will be put in my documents, my Tableau repository, etc. And this is this is something that I need to clean because if I go to my Tableau repository, Tableau prep repository, and go to data sources, I have now 238 elements. This is the one I just made, and all of these are previous tests. So I need to get rid of these. But anyhow, I have some data in here. I see that I have table and table names, but that's because I did my flow over here before I did my clean. But I can still test my data. I can double click on country to see that I have Australia in here, and I have Norway over there. I can look at data over years. If I drag in year, for example, like this, and then look at the countries. So see who participated in each and every country. If there's no ABC, they didn't participate. So it's quite easy to see. And I could put in the place in here as well. So we can see that first place, 16th place, etc. The problem now is that if I go over here and I would like to preview the end result, is that when I say done, I have even more files that I need to clean. And Tableau is now opening up a new workbook. And I can still do whatever I did, right, to look at country of the competition. So I can see where have they hosted the competitions. But my previous workbook, if I now already have started to build something fancy or something complicated, I can't open up this visualization with this data source straight away. So what we can do as a tip is to copy my data from this first one. I go to my other workbook, I paste. Oh, sorry, it will fail because I need to extract my data first. So I'm going to undo this. So this one needs to be extracted because it's just a temporary file. I'm just going to do this. So I have even one more data source that I need to clean. Now I can copy this one, go back to the one with the newest data, paste it in here, and then you see that this is the same data source that is copied from here. I can just right click, replace my data source, and replace it with the new one. And then I can get rid of this one and see that country is failing because I renamed the country to country of competing. So you see that there's a red exclamation mark. This doesn't exist. Now we can right click, replace the reference. Country should be country of competing. And then we get some stuff in here. Let's see if we can get in the place. And yeah, it doesn't work. So I don't know what I've done wrong, but I never do anything wrong. So let's have a look at the country of competing. And then we look at the years. And then we see that there was a whole bunch of nulls. So maybe there's actually something wrong in my data. That's the interesting bit in here. So now I made some, maybe it's country of competition that I have the year. I don't know. Let's see. At least we see that we have country of competition. See that Austria had it twice, Germany there. What did happen to my country competing in here then? We see all of these, but the place, yeah, we have the place in here. So just have to drag and drop a bit more. But now you can build whatever visualization you want based on this one. But eventually or finally, you will add a output over there. You can do that to a file, these data to the Tableau server, to these different databases that I showed in the PowerPoint as well. Normally, I just publish this to a published data source. But for the demo, you can give it a name, Eurovision, and then you can then do an hyper Excel CSV file in here. Then you have the data, you have everything in here, and then you can start building your visualizations. So my plan was actually to show. I'm just going to make sure if I do have my data properly in my workbook that failed a bit here before. So we have, we had different, these are the old years, so forth. That's why there were so many nulls. So I'm going to get rid of the nulls. I'm going to look at year and countries in here. And then we see the place we are at. So I'm going to figure out if any country came last. I'm going to create a calculated field. That, of course, I could have done also back in Tableau Prep. So last place, question mark. And I've cheated, so I'm just going to copy paste. So if the place that we have for each and every year is the max place, meaning the highest number, in this case, it will be 20, it would be for each and every year. The highest number, that would be indicate the last place. So if you say okay, I put this on color, and the ones that are true, if I highlight these now, these are the ones that came last. We see Germany came last 4 times in the last 14 years. If we look at Norway, we only came last twice. But if I would have now had the whole data back from 1956, I'm so happy to announce that Norway has finished last, I think, 11 times, which is the worst in history. So go Norway. So I urge you all to go to Spotify and listen to some proper some proper music afterwards. But this is one way of looking at the data and hopefully have some fun. If I go back to my presentation now, there and this one, I think we can share this one somehow as well. Euro visualizations. There are some of these that I've found that have been based on this data. So I'm going to go back to Tableau instead of just looking at the screens. And I have too many pages up. Here we go. So over here, there's one by Abby Taylor, where we look at if you know the what is it called, the flag of the countries, you should see. You should understand that this is hopefully, I would say Germany, but it's Belgium. They have the same colors. That's why. And then you can hover over and see what place they came, etc. And you see the wider, the more points they did get. And then we can scroll down to find. We have, this is now Israel. We have UK Iceland over here. And then we have Norway, and you see that we don't have those wide ones, so we don't win too much, basically. So this one is pretty nice. This one is more annoying because all the countries that are participating and are not even participating are giving you points. So if I go and find Norway in here and see who has given us points every year, Iceland gives us an average 4.9, so almost 5 points. Sweden, our neighbors, friends to the east, they give us 4.8 points. And that sounds like a good neighbor, right? But let's switch it the other way around. Let's see what we give the Swedes. So you can give up to 12 points for each country. We give them 7 points in average every year. They only give us 5. That's why we really don't like the Swedes. So this one is really nice. You have this one as well. This is from, I think both of these are from NIR. This is the song contest from Malmö in 2024. You have the different countries, public votes, jury votes, and then we saw that, for example, Israel, they got a whole bunch of public votes, the same as Ukraine, but the jury gave them less. So they basically, jury is supposed to know music. They give it a different turnaround. And Switzerland, who got way more jury votes than they did get votes from the public. So you can actually vote by sending text messages from different countries as well. You can't vote on your own country, obviously. And this is by Frederick Ferry. This is points per country for the final round. Sweden is on top because they have both won quite a lot and also received a lot of points. So the larger the circle, the more points they have received. And then I have a couple more. This is you can do a tour in here, and I just need to reload it because it's been open for a while. But then you can have a tour, and you can even listen to music when you go through this one, which is a quite detailed with all kinds of different type of visualizations and insights. And finally, does the jury bias lead to victory? And then we can see a whole big visualization in here, and I like these hex bin maps in here, and see that some countries are biased against others. So we really don't like each other over here, even though we give each other points. But we give the Swedes more than they give us. So that was a whole big rant of Eurovision and Tableau Prep. I'm going to stop to the share and open up for any questions, any comments, if there is any. Raise your hand if you have never heard about Eurovision before. Or is that commonly known throughout the world, since we have people from all over the world?
Tore, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the join, where you joined on the year field, would it have made any difference to add an additional field, like do the join on year and country?
In this particular data set, it wouldn't make any point, because then I would join the hosting country with participant country. So if we would be in 1986 in Bergen, Norway, the only country that would have been participating would be Norway.
Okay.
And obviously that would be good for us, because then we would have won. But but normal when you do these joins, but not normal, but very often you don't only join by just like a customer ID, but you also have a date, order date, or something else. And this was a really quick go through as well. But for the joins, you can do inner joins, left joins, right joins. You could do joins where you don't say customer number equal customer number. You can say customer number is not equal customer number, because there's some mistakes, to find some mistakes in your data.
All right, thank you.
So I had a customer that presented at the Norwegian Tableau user group a couple of weeks ago and talked about their experience with Tableau, and they've used it for a long time. But I introduced Tableau Prep for them 2 years ago, I think, and she said the change from going from using Tableau Desktop to also have Tableau Prep to clean and fix and organize the data was a big increase in her happiness was like tripled, because it was so much more fun to work with the data when they could do that.
Yeah.
And of course, it will be for you, not necessarily so that you will be using Tableau Prep in the future, but hopefully this e-learning and the challenges will give you some insight into the ETL process, the extract, transform, load, to know that what should you do to prep your data before you start visualizing it. Because you think that every data is perfect when you do training classes, right? So, but in real life, it's not like that.
Never like that, yeah.
You always need to do something with the data, or more or less always. Especially when you combine data from multiple data sources, so different aggregation levels and stuff like that, and it's so hopefully you have started and doing a bit of these prep challenges, exercises. I don't think I shared.
I've not done any exercise, but just going through.
Yeah, and I forgot to put that in there, but I'm gonna prep in data. I'm gonna just put that in the chat as well, so you know about this challenges on prep in data. Of course, you have them, a few of them also in the e-learning portal, or with everything in there. And then the user group, there is this Tableau Prep user group, where they're going to have a meeting now already. I think it's next week, 4th of April or something. So hopefully all of you have already signed into Bevy, so you have access to, well, you can just join any group in there. And the Tableau Prep user group also has a lot of past events where you can have a look at if there's any specific things you would like to look at. You can go and see me in June last year, but it's very similar to the one that you saw now. So,
Okay.
Have you been to the Prep user group, Adrian?
Yeah, I've been to I attended the last session where I've forgotten the data they used there, but somehow I think there were some hitches along the way. It didn't work, but along the line they identified what the problem was. So, but it was interesting seeing what you could do with Tableau Prep Builder. But I was wondering, is it just drag and drop all through, or are there areas where you could write some codes?
Yeah, you can add in when you add these different steps. There's something called script. So you can add in script that could be a R script or a Python script. So you can create those somewhere else, and then you can put them in to do different type of bits. And when you create calculated fields, you can also, similar to in desktop, you can use regular or regex, regular expressions as well. But comparing Tableau Prep to Alteryx or Informatica or one of those big ones, they can do this much. Tableau Prep can do this much, but the user interface, and for most normal business users, it's a lot easier as well.
Tableau Prep.
Yeah.
It's more for those people coming from Alteryx, like those spider webs, Nobody can figure out what's going on. So yeah, I haven't been to this prep tag, by the way, but to be honest, I think like last time when I touched prep was like 4 or 5 years ago or something. No idea. I mean, like,
yeah, there has been a big change in development. So that you can do way more now than you can do just 3 years ago as well. So it's I find it really good, and especially for those who already have Tableau, because they don't have to pay extra for a ETL tool. It's not made for bulk loading of 500 million rows of data. That's not what Tableau Prep is for. Then you need to have Microsoft SSIS or Informatica or even Alteryx. But for data that is not too big, even though Tableau is doing sampling when you do the prep flows, and then when you click run flow, it does the whole bit. But it does do a limitation.
It's more for small companies, who doesn't have too many tools, like they could just grab some CSV, some Excel files, some text files, and do something.
Yeah, but even big companies that still don't work with the huge amount of data. They don't connect to the data warehouse and pull in all transactions from the last 5 years, and you have 2.5 billion rows of data. Then prep will crash. Your laptop will start to smoke on your laptop.
Thank you, Tore.
Any other questions before we end today's session?
None from me.
Okay.
I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
No, you're welcome. I'll end the meeting and save the recording. So Prasan will publish this tomorrow. I think he's busy doing something that adults do on a Friday evening. So he wasn't joining us today. But have a nice weekend, everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you.
See you again sometime, Tor.
Thank you.
Yeah.